The use of words to control. The words that our kind use are the instruments of our dark profession. Words are advantageous because they are so easy to say. There is little effort involved in uttering a sudden profane insult, or a sentence designed to bring about submission. A barked injunction or a passionate phrase are readily conjured up and sent in your direction. Of course, there are times when the more skilled practitioners amongst our brethren use them to create a stunning tapestry of woven wonder for you to look upon in a lengthy letter, a seemingly heartfelt declaration of love that needs to be requited, an apparent mea culpa. No, a mea maxima culpa, for our wrongdoings arising from our tortured behaviour, or the mercy-seeking, begging, missive-seeking absolution and forgiveness. Whilst there are, of course, plenty of actions in the dynamic between you and us, it is the words which are everywhere. From those that are spoken to the text messages, the emails, the social media announcements, the invitations, the letters written in beautiful copper-plate handwriting, always a winner, the one word daubed in paint on the side of your house, the insult scratched into your car's wing, and the bloodied threat daubed on a note and wrapped around a brick hurled through your window. Those words are absolutely everywhere, easy to use, quick to appear, and with them such import and impact on those listening. And of course, the empathic individual, which is why we choose you, is invariably an excellent listener who drinks in what we have to say or what we have to write. From weasel words to roaring rhetoric, we deploy phrases and sentences to bring about compliance, to control you, to secure sympathy, to tug at your emotions and evoke responses, i.e., the provision of fuel. Instinct allows us to mirror and conjure up those tantalizing expressions which go straight to your core, coiling about your heart, and either dragging it towards us or tearing it to shreds, dependent on where you happen to be on the narcissistic roller coaster dynamic. I have many times explained that we prefer to conserve our energy. We do not want to have to do more than is necessary, because our energy is required for what lies ahead in the day and for the purpose of establishing the seduction of our primary source and the maintenance of our pipelines to our growing fuel network. We do not want to be rushing around doing things. It's far more effective to tell you how we supposedly feel about you. Write it in one text message and send it to 5 different recipients to cast the net wider and see what can be caught, and to rely on the images created by our words. By conserving this energy, we are able to achieve far more. We can target more people, seduce with greater effectiveness, and devalue with increased impact. The lesser narcissist, of course, is not an especially skilled wordsmith, albeit the upper lesser A or B will have his or her moments. This lack of delicious prose or flowery compliments does not, however, hinder their use of words as a method of control. They will channel it in the use of a pet name which is seemingly special, and use that with regularity. The base vulgarities which are texted when he is roping in a target are often aimed at those who are operating on a similar language and literary level to him. Take, for example, the 419 frauds, also known as advance fee frauds. You'll know about those emails, usually hailing from Nigeria, where the emails are contrary to Section 419 of their criminal code, hence the name, where Crown Prince Mbongo explains how a sort of trusted advisor or improbable relative, you can help him move $49 million from an account and he'll cut you in for 20%. These emails are usually written in pidgin English, or a poor version of it, which marks the writer out as someone who has English as a second language. That is actually not the case. The writer is invariably someone with an excellent command of English, but the email is written in a manner which betrays it as poor English. This is deliberate. It is done because it is specifically seeking out people who are dim-witted enough to respond and provide cash to the fraudsters. I.e., it doesn't want intelligent people who pick up on, their English isn't very good, this looks suspicious. People often wonder how people fall for these scams, but they do, and that is why the fraudsters keep going. Just in the way that we, as love frauds, specifically target people and use words to do so, the financial frauds, which will include members of our brethren also, ensure the content of these emails is such that the most gullible respond in order to maximize the prospects of success. The ploy is a deliberate one to remove the false positives and leave only those who are the most susceptible. In the same way, the less proficient use of words by the lesser means that he will attract those who are more likely to fall for his particular manipulations. It is of little use for the lesser to attract someone who seems like a useful prospect, only for them to prove to be a false positive and break off the seduction. Just like the financial scammers, the lesser needs to weed out those who are most susceptible to his less articulate overtures and focus upon them with his more rudimentary manipulative styles. The lesser has fewer problems. When it comes to the controlling aspect of his use of words and during devaluing, he can hurl insults with ease, relying on profanities, vulgarity, and harsh words to wound and upset his ensnared victim. He can unleash a volley of nastiness from his twisted mouth. His roar of disapproval, the reliance on bellowing and shouting over the actual complexity of his sentences, is entirely effective at cowing, controlling, and browbeating the victims which he will stand the greatest chance of effective delivery of the prime aims with. As for the mid-range narcissists, well, they have some charm, and with that, also the increased cognitive function, and there comes a pleasant and desirable seduction, where sweet, caring messages are used. As fake empaths, they will spend much of the seduction stealing the phrases and verses of famous authors and poets by way of character trait acquisition. The mid-rangers know where to find these texts and will either plagiarize them wholesale or add his own twist to the existing works. The mid-ranger will control through a sugary sweet seduction and can engage in extensive text campaigns as part of luring in the victim. He is also perfectly capable of hurling the insults if really required, but the mid-range narcissist's use of words to control his or her victims is evidenced most in two ways: backhanded compliments and pity plays. The mid-range narcissist is an expert at the passive-aggressive barbed comment and can issue those which have you at first smiling and then reacting as you realize the import of what has just been said to you. The mid-ranger's true proficiency lies in the ability to control you through the use of pity plays, which he or she will roll out through the long involved explanations of hardship, misery, difficulty, and adversity. Whether he or she wants money from you to con you into thinking that he or she will engage in some kind of treatment for their confusing behaviors, to stop you leaving them and removing their main source of fuel, or to take them back after you've escaped, or he has disengaged. The mid-range narcissist knows all the choice speeches to tug at your heartstrings. They will present persuasive phrases to convey how truly sorry they are and that their life really is worth nothing without you. Verbose apologies and explanations will clog up your inboxes as the mid-range narcissist goes overboard about how he or she is devastated. And to have treated someone so wonderful as you this way, they now realize that they have done so many wrongs and need to make amends. And of course, it's always somebody else's fault, something else's fault, why they did as they did. Notice that those controlling words of the mid-range narcissist sound good and appear to show contrition and remorse, but they do not. There is recognition, but no ownership. I know I upset you when I go missing, but I just need some time to myself because I am under pressure. I can see why you might get angry when I talk to other women, but I cannot help it if people like me, can I? The mid-range narcissist will use words extensively to seduce, but it is in the application of words during devaluation where the mid-range narcissist exhibits particular expertise. Do not think that the mode du jour of the mid-ranger, the silent treatment, is some kind of aberration for such a prolix individual. He or she, of course, is courting somebody else with their sweet sentences, whilst you are given a dose of cold fury. As for the greater, well, mouths and tongues are the ultimate weapons. From composing eloquent and seductive proclamations of love through to the motivating and endearing speeches as to why you and they belong together, the greater is at the top of the pyramid when it comes to using words to control. Possessing an uncanny knack of knowing exactly the right thing to say and at the right time, the greater can use verbose announcements to awe a target into submission or deploy a short sentence to devastating effect. Just like his lesser or mid-range counterparts, the greater can unleash the heated fury of a tirade, should he or she deem it appropriate. He does, however, always prefer to rely upon charm and the associated words with such charm for the purpose of manipulation and control. Whether it is seducing you, seducing somebody else to triangulate with you, to manipulate you into feeling that you are the problem, deflecting your suspicions, or stopping you leaving through a scintillating preventative hoover, the greater will turn to charm first. Those delicious words, so brilliantly delivered, the evocative sentences, and tempting turns of phrase are all deployed in order to ensure that you submit and obey. If charm is in limited supply and is refusing to stretch, then the greater will use words to threaten and intimidate. Nobody else is able to convey his imaginative plans for how you will suffer if you do not do what he wants. He doesn't state them expressly, for greaters do not engage in express threats. It's all in the implication. The greater will not opt for pity plays. They are beneath him or her. Their words are a source of pride to them, and through charm and intimidation, he or she asserts control. Everything we say is designed to control you. Our words are there to make you fall in love with us, like us, be drawn to us, and to be loyal to us. Our sentences seduce, our words wound. What we say to you must make you do what we want, provide us with fuel, give us your resources, carry out our instructions, and obey our commands. Our words, be they spoken or written, are not there for your benefit. They are there to serve us and to ensure that you are brought and remain under our control. You are excellent listeners, but when you are first ensnared by us, you do not hear what we are actually saying to you. Now you will. And what then of the ultra? Well, you are already listening, aren't you?